So hello guys, hope you guys are all well and having a great week. So tonight, Middlesex University Product Design Engineering and Design Engineering are really excited to host the 6th talk in the annual guest lecture series. So this series runs weekly throughout the academic year on Thursday evenings, bringing together a vibrant mix of speakers from across the full spectrum of design and engineering, a mix of leading practitioners, opinion leaders, radical thinkers, and emerging talents to inspire and support your professional development. Tonight, we're really delighted to host Sam Cornwell. So who's Sam? Sam's the owner and inventor of Solarcan. He's a photographic artist based in the Scottish borders. He is a master's graduate of the Edinburgh University, where he was awarded the ESALA Student Award as well for his studies in material practice. He won an Astrophotographer of the Year award, and then he went on to found and develop the Solarcan, which is the world's first commercial solargraphy camera. Right. More recently as well, Sam's also developed the Solar Puck as well, which he's going to present later on in this talk. So this is a lecture that I've been looking forward to since connecting with Sam. Thanks to Kate for organizing it as well. An opportunity to understand the process from idea to production, including crowdfunding as well. So to all the participants, feel free to obviously gather your thoughts, your questions and comments in the chat throughout the talk. We'll have Q&A towards the end as well. And there's also the option to go live and interact with Sam after the main talks. So over to Sam, the talk titled "How to Take a 10 Million Second."
They won't tell you to.
Why would I look it if it's girl?
Amazing. And guys, feel free to enter muted. Amazing. All yours, Sam.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me present today. I've given lots of talks about Solarcan. How to take a picture with a Solarcan, how to make a Solarcan, the story of the Solarcan journey. But I've never had the chance or opportunity to talk about the things that I really care about, which I will be doing today, which is the design aspect of it, how it came together, and what I learned in the process of doing that from 5 years ago to now. And I understand that's what you guys are studying. So as I said to your hosts, that I hope you guys can teach me something. So perhaps the stuff that you're learning at university now is something that I've had to pick up along the way and make my own accidents and errors, etc. So let's get on with it then. So we're going to be talking about Solarcan. It's a type of camera, so we'll get to that. But first off, who am I? I've been introduced, but just in case, that's what I look like if I'm in the dark room, a photographic dark room, which still exists today. I hear there's an analog resurgence. Master's student at Edinburgh University, where I studied material practice. But this was after studying photography at Newport University and Portsmouth University. And more recently, I taught photography at Heriot-Watt University. Why did I go to do materials and study materials after doing photography? Well, I felt like I missed a lot to do with the world and how many things worked, and I wanted to make more things. I really struggled with the processes of design and making an application and learning new processes. The course was brilliant, run by Remo Prodresci, at Edinburgh University. I'm not trying to sell their course there, but I felt like I was very lucky to get on it, and it was a great experience. So what is a Solarcan? Here we go. Here's your spiel. Top left there and bottom left. That's what a Solarcan looks like. It looks like a drink, doesn't it? Absolutely looks like a drink. It's not. It's a camera. And it takes the sort of photographs that you see on the right-hand side. They're extreme time exposure photographs, otherwise known as solargraphy, but they're still photographs in their own right. They're very, very simple to use. They might look complicated, but they're not. So what are we capturing when we see these? Well, what we're looking at here is a photograph of the sun passing through the sky over 4 months. So those low yellow lines that you see towards the bottom, towards the horizon, because you can probably clearly make out horizon, is the sun's path over a day. Over a cloudy day, you spot the dotted lines where the sun has been passing in and out of clouds, and there's some lines that are just absent totally. That would be very, very dark days. As the sun rises through the seasons from winter to summer, it starts rising up through the sky, and that's what you're capturing there. And that's That's why we call it an extreme time exposure camera, because one photo taken over 4 months, not to be confused with something called a time lapse, which would be like a video. This is just one image where the majority of what is caught is the sun's light being exposed onto the photographic paper inside. So how does it work? It's really simple. You pop it up like the bottom left-hand side one there with the Solarcan on the drain pipe. And once you're ready, you've run out of patience, you take it down after a few months or 6 months optimum. You open it up with a tin opener. You retrieve the bit of photographic paper inside, no special skills needed, and it will look a bit like that. And you scan it using a home scanner, or maybe a phone. Your iPhone would do. You'll have an image like this, and then you flip it, invert it, and voila, you've got your masterpiece. It's that easy to use. We're not going to go into that too much. There's no mystery there. It is really as simple as that, and that's something I'll get into a bit later as well. But I wanted to give you a quick rundown of what it did before we went into the design of that and how it got started. So, how did it all begin? This is the exciting part for me. So it was 2016. And I'd spotted online on Twitter, I think, a friend was making these beer can solography cameras, beer can pinhole solography cameras. And I thought I've always wanted to do them. They've been like a sort of a workshop thing for the last 15 years or so at the time. And I thought I've always wanted to do them. I'm going to give it a go, make some myself. And I made some up. And because it was close to Christmas, because you traditionally make them around the winter or summer solstice when the sun reaches its lowest or highest, I decided to give them away for Christmas as Christmas presents, because I had no money at the time. I was brassic. I couldn't afford to pay my mortgage, let alone anything else. So what could an 8p can of lager from Sainsbury's and a bit of photographic film cost? Not much, with a bit of gaffer tape, as you can see on top. They were a real hit with my friends and family, who I made about 16, and they thought they were absolutely fantastic. And I thought, you know what, I could do with some money. I think I could sell these. So I upgraded and I bought some Fosters, and I did drink this one. I didn't pour this one down the drain. And I thought these looked a bit smarter. So I gave a bit of design to them, put a bit of tape around them, made them look a bit smarter. And I put them for sale on Etsy for £12. You know, sure that people were going to want these things, something really fun to experiment with, take really crazy types of photographs with. Well, guess how many I sold in that week that I put them up? None, absolutely none. And I was a bit beset with myself, because I knew that it was a good thing. This thing should be commercialized, really, because I found it really easy to do, but intimidating prior to learning it for myself. And I felt that there was a market there for people to have the confidence to just purchase a very cheap, inexpensive product where they could learn for themselves, rather than the intimidating factor of workshops and that sort of thing. So, beginning of 2017, January of 2017, I put aside a week and £100. You know, I thought that's all I'm going to need. 1 week and £100 to make a Solarcan. It wasn't called a Solarcan at this time. It was just a solography pinhole camera. So I'd made a design. I bought some of these. I didn't buy them. Actually, a firm gave me the aluminium cans. They're 440mm aluminium cans. I'll touch on the reason it's in a can. It's just the perfect vessel for it. It's the right size for a traditional sheet of photographic paper, and it means you can get a really wide angle. I think those sort of semantics on the design probably aren't as important as other parts on this, but that is the reason why it's in a 40mm drinks vessel. But I started designing using some acetate there and a bit of printing and, I don't know, Avenir font or something. But I knew it needed a name, and it didn't take long for Solarcan to come up. And this logo on the right-hand side, which has become synonymous with solography these days, it's world famous, and I've not my words, but I've been told iconic, which is really lovely. And we started getting the design together of what the design of the Solarcan would look like. But getting to this stage was really, really tough. For a start, I needed the aluminium. We call it aluminium instead of aluminium cans because I don't want to take away from the brand name of Solarcan. So I shopped around for aluminium, and you couldn't really buy it. You had to buy it in bulk. So to make one single Solarcan, I had to buy 3,510 aluminium cans. That's a pallet, which I went down to Carlisle to buy from a huge company called Bevcan that makes 6 billion a year. And there's me rocking up in a transit for one pallet, you know, a tiny, tiny percentage of that. I felt a little bit in the way, as you can see here. I'm not sure if you can see what you're looking at there, but there's probably a million in this single photo here as I walked in, gobsmacked. So there's me popping a pallet into the back of my van and driving off. What are you doing? They say, what sort of drink are you making? Are you a brewery? Are you one of these microbreweries? No, I'm making a camera. Anyway, I got back to Hoyk, and first lesson learned, you can't just take it apart. So you can't just tear the plastic wrap around it. Plastic went absolutely everywhere, and I knew this was going to be a long, long journey. Remember, I just wanted to make one. I wanted to make a prototype that I could sell, that I could design, that I could put online, and I'm still struggling at this point. Here's my daughter, if it works, helping me set up. I wasn't to know that I'd be only getting a pallet, and it would be so difficult to move from one thing to another. That's a problem that I've been having for 5 years on and off. I've still not found a solution to that. The solution is bigger doors, but that requires a bigger building. Then there's the lids. The lids that go on top are actually a different product. So you've got your aluminium can, the bottom. The lids are a different product. You can buy different types of lids, all sorts of different kinds. And you couldn't buy, you can now, because microbrewery has changed and the world of this sort of thing has changed. But at the time, you couldn't buy these with cans. You had to buy them separately, and you could only buy them on a pallet. So I was to-ing and fro-ing for a few days on whether I should buy 227,000 lids to make one single Solarcan. Luckily, someone felt a bit sorry for me, and they had 3 spare tubes lying, and they let me have a few tubes for £10 each or something like that. So I was able to, I still had to buy 1,800, mind you, but I didn't have to buy 227,000. It's another one of the uphill struggles that I didn't realize that I was going to be running up against. Then this machine that you see on the right-hand side here, it's called a canning machine. They didn't exist. They exist now. You can buy them from Alibaba or China, and they're reasonably priced. But at the time, they didn't exist. I needed to find a machine that would crimp the lid onto the Solarcan, because I couldn't glue it on. It had to be crimped properly. The only machines available were ones that did 100 a minute. Like big, large-scale industrial things, like £6,000 machines, but at the very, very minimum, second-hand. Like I couldn't afford that. I didn't have the space for that, and I wasn't going to be making 600 a minute or whatever it was. I just wanted to make one a minute, maybe one every 5 minutes. Who knows? But I found this machine off a survival expert, one of these people who's always preparing for the end of the world. And they'd been canning their own drinks, etc. And I was able to buy it off him for a hefty sum, and it got me where I needed to be. So it's a very satisfying little tool as well, which is still used today. So it's really been worth its money. And then the label printing is something that I ran up against a problem. So I had to buy, 2,000 labels, 2,000. Which was the very minimum to put around these at the time. Things have changed nowadays, and we did all the design and we did some backwards and forwards, and there was a lot of communication. Everything looked right, but when they arrived like the one on the left-hand side, white, and I really wanted it clear, and they weren't going to give me a refund or reprint, so I had to go into debt. So this was the first time I was actually in debt to buy the clear ones again, which was very frustrating at the time. I was managing by Ubering around Edinburgh. I was a little ashamed of it at the time. Perhaps I shouldn't have been, but I hadn't told anyone what I was doing, but it was paying the bills. And I didn't like it much. Really hard work. 12, 16 hours a day, and lots of lovely people to meet. But we'll come to a stage where I was able to quit that and move on to Solarcan and better things. But once we had that one on the right hand side there, the silver one, this is where I felt like I had got to a stage where I had a product and I needed to make it travel. And people are going to tell you this is important, but you should really highlight it as probably the most important things. We live in an online age now where everything is digital. There is really nothing more important than the digital imagery that you use to present it. You can take a photograph on your phone, you can explain it as much as you want, but you can't really get anything right unless you take a great photograph of it, or digital mock-up, or whatever it's going to be. Something that's physical, that people feel they can touch tangibly, and that it's an actual product that exists. It's so important. Your phone will not cut it. You might think it will, but it just won't. You're going to have to do it professionally. If you can't do it professionally, get someone with a professional eye. I happen to be trained as a photographer, so I had the skills and I was able to put together some nice shots. So I had a product that I could move on and present in the platform of my choice. So I put aside 1 week and £100. Turns out costs 5,000 and 4 months. So £5,000 of my own money I put towards that. Because once you get past a certain stage, you just got to keep going until you get there. So by April, I was ready. Now, the platform I wanted to use, one you've probably all heard of before, and a fantastic platform for people designing new products and launching new things, is called Kickstarter. And I launched the Solarcan on Kickstarter in April. It was about 2 in the morning. I'd known about Kickstarter for 7-8 years. Had an account there for a long time, but I never had a product to put on it. It was about 2 in the morning. Everything was ready. I received an email from Kickstarter saying, hey, this looks great. You're ready to launch if you want. My children, my wife was in bed upstairs, and it was just dark. And I just had the screen illuminating my face, and I clicked launch. And I thought, oh, it's done. And then my phone buzzed. Like seconds later, someone has pledged £12 or something like that. It was seconds later. But what's going on here? That's wild. Like, someone immediately pledged it. I didn't have a community back then. This was brand new. I'd only told my friends, my Facebook friends maybe. There wasn't any big excitement. By the time I woke up in the morning, it was well on its way with a lot of funds in. But to get to the Kickstarter, there's something in addition you need for photographs. So for Kickstarters, you also need a video. I did hire someone to come and do a video, but it wasn't very good. And I did dumb it down because I felt the opposite to how videos and a video presentation and photography works. It's I'm still a bit in two minds of it. Whereas photographs really need to be lush and real and travel well, the video needs to convey authenticity and honesty and trust. And so I made it myself, and I shall show you the video now. It's about 2 minutes long.
Hi, and welcome
Good
to my
grief.
first ever Kickstarter, where I'd like to talk to you about Solarcan, a fully functional extreme time exposure camera capable of capturing the path of the sun through the day sky. Confused? Well, With Solarcan, people of all ages and abilities will be able to create unique images like this, or this, or this. Let me explain to you how the Solarcan works. When it first arrives, getting started couldn't be easier. Just look for a nice spot to place it outside or a sun-facing window inside and make sure it's secure, then remove the black tab. Immediately, light will be able to pass through the pinhole and begin exposing an image on the photographic paper inside. The minimum exposure time is around a week. However, bear in mind that the longer you leave it, the more impressive the sun's path will look. During the summer, the sun is higher in the sky, whereas in the winter, much lower. When your time is up or you simply run out of patience, remove your Solarcan and bring it indoors to reveal the photograph that you have captured. Using a standard tin opener, remove the Solarcan lid and retrieve the photographic paper inside. Finally, take a digital picture of your image using your phone camera or computer scanner and invert the colours using a free photo editing app. Your masterpiece will then be created. But first, we need your help. The process of bringing Solarcan to life has meant the purchase of machinery and all the raw materials ready to begin manufacturing. There's enough in the workshop for a first run of 1,000 complete Solarcans. By backing any one of our reward options on the left, you'll be helping me and my team turn Solarcan into a commercial reality and help spread a product born out of a love of photography across the globe. Rewards start incredibly low, so here's your chance to get the first mass-produced camera of its kind. Thank you for watching, and I hope I've convinced you to back us.
There we are. Hashtag Solarcan. That was the first time I'd used that. So good grief, that thing on my face, that moustache, almost sentient. So Kickstarter loved what I was doing. They liked the whole thing, and they made it a project we love, which meant it got extra exposure. So the additional work that I put into it is really worth it, because I got additional exposure from the community of Kickstarters and people who see that. So that's fantastic. I set a target of £2,500 because I felt like I needed to recoup half of what I'd spent. I felt that's what I needed to do. And well, 1 month passed, and at the end, the last day, I just ticked over £25,000 for that first launch. And back then, the Solarcan was much cheaper than it was now, just £12 each, probably not charging enough in postage either. So it was a really, really delightful thing. And then the work had to start. So shipping is something so important. So building the Solarcan was one thing, but shipping them, how would they ship? Now, part of the design that I thought was pretty clever at the time was putting it in a cardboard tube, so they would fit nicely, but with a bit of bubble wrap around it to keep it protected. And this was very, very early days. Look at that red tape, that brown cardboard all over the place, stickers, and they shipped off all over the world. I had no idea what I was doing, to be honest, and it was hard work. But I got it done, and I got them all out there. And once they were out, I just had to wait, because my community now, because there was a community, because so many people had been part of the campaign, were going to be the ones putting together images. But because it takes up to 6 months to create an image, it's going to take a long time to start seeing the results. Imagine sending these things out into the wild and thinking, what if they mess up? I don't know how. There's problems that may occur in the future that I don't know exist yet, and how I'd be able to fix it. But we got through them all. So yeah, waiting for the community results. But you know what? They started coming in, and they started looking absolutely fantastic. I've got thousands. I'm not going to show you thousands, just a few examples. Feel free to head over to the Instagram if it's something you're interested in and you want to look at more of this imagery. But there was all sorts of different ways that people were setting up their Solarcan from all over the world. I've got a world map actually, which is not in the talk, but I should show it at some point, showing all the different places where people have positioned their Solarcan. I started noticing that people were taking it really seriously. They weren't just creating an image, people were learning things. This is the sort of time I suddenly realized it was more of a learning experience than it was a camera, or as much as a learning experience. This is the first 6-month exposure one that I'd seen. So it'd taken 6 months from them receiving it to having this. And this was taken down in Cornwall, showing the winter sun at the bottom and the summer sun at the top there. But the most amazing one that I had on the first run was this, which was taken in America. It's a single day exposure, 1 day exposure. It was in 2017 in August. Some of you may remember what that is. That little gap that you see in the middle of that line is where the moon passed in front of the sun. So we had a solar eclipse. I think then I really started to believe that we were onto something really fun. It's taken a long time for me to find something that keeps me engaged. Usually after about 6 months, I get bored and want to move on to the next thing. But it's been several years now with Solarcan, and I'm still very much engaged. I hope all of you find something that you can be as passionate about in your designing and future careers. Just a couple of other interesting ones. Someone from the Navy took one out and put it on a ship. You can see many days worth of exposure. They're incredibly abstract image, but you see these lines have wiggles on them. That's where the ship has been rocking backwards and forwards over 6 weeks, something incredible. And to finish off these community ones, this very dark and dreary one was taken in the Arctic by a guy called Matthew Robinson, and it captures the moment the sun started passing over the horizon, because obviously when you go that far north during the winter, you have midnight all around the day. So it's just eternal darkness. So this captured the sun as it was going up. And at the same time, a guy wrote to me from Antarctica saying, "Hi, I had no idea. Hi, I thought you'd like to see. I'm based in the Antarctica Research Station, and I've had a couple of Solarcans set up." And he sent me this image. And the fulfilling feeling of knowing that there is a Solarcan sandwich, or an Earth sandwich with Solarcan as bread, for a few months of that year was just incredible. There's one on top of the world and on the bottom of the world. But I really realized that the community was growing arms and legs of its own when they started doing all sorts of strange inventions and tricks and trials. Like this person was turning their Solarcan around every few days, and they'd invented a contraption for it, one of many that I've seen. And one of my favorite one is someone built a shutter to open and close the pinhole on the front of the Solarcan. And they sent me this, and with a single day's worth of sun, they'd wrote in the sky in Morse code, Solarcan. And that was really lovely. So I've called this talk, How to Take a 10 million second exposure. I'm not teaching you how to take a 10 million second exposure, but I thought it was a great title because not long ago, a guy called Matthew, he's a YouTuber, created this film that I'm not going to show you, but he used a Solarcan, and he's great with titles. And instead of saying how to use a Solarcan or what is a Solarcan, he broke it down into words that his sort of community would understand: a 10 million second exposure or 10 million second shutter speed. And anyone who's used a camera to any degree before will understand shutter speeds and the sort of times. And to hear 10 million seconds is just mind-blowing. That's just not possible, really. So I like to take that with me as well, that phrase, how to take a 10 million second photograph. And that's where I really first learned about communicating the right sort of simple language for branding. So for the last year or so, I've been using that. It's been really handy. There is a second stage. So as you saw when they first went all out, they're all in brown box packaging. A year after we launched, I decided something needed to be done. I'd always had the roadmap in my head to make a retail packaging design. And so I launched another Kickstarter, but a much, much smaller one, very intentionally smaller. because it was keeping the same product, but we were just inventing retail packaging. And I launched it with this image and a funny little 1-minute video I won't bore you with, which was intentionally non-fun, saying, look, we need to make it retail package so we can sell it in shops, so we can sell it to trade, sell it retail, rather than just this brown thing that goes across the world. And it worked. 4 or 5 months later, we had a great set of manuals and tubes and Solarcan, which meant, most importantly, because we had the retail stuff and everything like that set up, we could sell to trade. And this was my first order of 300 that went out to Germany, which was a very exciting time for me, because I didn't realize a customer would exist that would want to buy that many. I just thought it'd always be ones and twos. And with that, we were able to take it to our first trade show, the photography show, which was lovely to be invited to, where we had a tiny little booth. Cost me an arm and a leg, but it was great. And in addition to that as well, we were featured on the TV show Buy It Now, probably the worst experience of my life. We came away successful, but I wouldn't recommend any sort of Dragon's Den style thing to anyone. You might be told, yeah, it's a good way to go. Your aunties and uncles will say, when you invent a product, they'll say to you, have you thought about Dragon's Den? Because I've been told it so many times. Don't do it. Don't do it unless you have to. You'll build a new audience out of it, and it was nice, but in the long run, not a great experience being partnered with vultures. There was an additional Kickstarter I won't bore you with, but this is just a variation on the Solarcan. I was a little desperate, that is definitely the wrong word. Delete that portion of the video, please. I wanted to, raise some, do something exciting. And I'd always had in mind to put a trio of Solarcan that would do slightly different things. So inside the photographic paper inside these three is slightly different. And there's a slightly different design on these as well. It worked very well. We still sell them today, but I am more interested in other things. The Solarcan Classic, the silver one, is still our core product, and that's most important. This one was really for the community. However, out of it came the science experiment cable ties, and this is something we're super proud of. So every cable tie that goes out has this science experiment do not touch, and this really doubles down on the idea that it's not just a camera, it's an experience, or it's something else, or it's experiment. And when people have this as part of the product, they feel like they're doing something cool, I guess. They feel like it's a really fun thing to do, and they're scientists themselves, and it's handy to have. As you can imagine, some of these that get placed out in the wild or the open get fiddled with or taken down. The science experiment do not touch does help to remind people not to touch it. Although we'll see. So that brings us up to, and this is quite a whirlwind because I'm expecting lots of interesting questions, hope so. Brings us up to something that I created last year. It's a product that was took about 2 years to develop. I'd always wanted to experiment with slightly different vessels. So we had the aluminium can as the Solarcan, the Classic, which is still our flagship product. But there was also this much smaller thing. It's a 60mm tin, basically, that you put lip balm in or candles or something like that. I've been experimenting for 2 years with this. I'd sent some out to Christmas presents, like as beta prototype tests, just mocked them up at home. And I just had a new employee come to work with me because we had a huge order of 10,000 Solarcan, so we were really busy. And to keep her employed, I needed to sort of again raise some funds and do some excitement. So I developed this as a product that we could sell. Well, I'm going to take some nice photographs of this, and I said to Gemma, who works with me, we're going to put this out on Black Friday last year. We could put this out on Black Friday, and we're going to announce it to everyone. We might like sell 20. which would be fun. We could just work them up in the workshops, so it would just raise a bit extra funds that day. We took some nice photographs of it, sort of things that people could resonate with and understand. And it did basically the same thing, but it was smaller and circular. The Solarcan Classic had been a product for 4 years. We built a community. People knew who we were. Lots of followers on Instagram, about 5,000. So lots is subjective, I guess. And we posted it out. And I honestly, God, thought 20 sales would be working all weekend, just get them out the door and stuff. And in fact, I didn't sell them. What I wrote, because at the time I was really worried that it would eat into my Solarcan Classic sales. I wasn't sure about bringing a new product to the market. I said, hey, if you spend at least £30 on the Solarcan website, we'll give you a Solarcan puck for free. So that's what I said to people on Black Friday, £30. Posted it out there. £30 would mean you'd have to buy 2 Solarcan minimum, and good grief. It went absolutely viral, went nuts. In that single Black Friday, we took £10,000. I was expecting maybe 500. It was, and then, you know, the sales would carry on for several days. I extended the Black Friday sales until Monday or Tuesday because it was doing so well, and people were saying, oh, I don't want to miss my chance. And I'm thinking, good grief, people buying these for Christmas. I was only expected to make 20. So all hands on deck, everything had to change because it went so viral. I had to write a whole new instruction booklet, design things around it, make sure that when it arrived at these different places that was smart and people were really pleased with it. I've not gone too much into that because we're going to go into a more retail version a bit later on. But because I sold way more than I expected to, I had to improve the product because it had gone viral, and that was a week of stress, but we got them all out before Christmas, which was really nice. But I said to Gemma, I said, we are not making this a product because that will eat into our Solarcan sales. Anyway, it was a good Christmas, so I took my family on holiday to Lanzarote at the start of January. And I took a Solarcan puck with me, one of them, just to see how it worked. And not that I didn't know how it worked, but see how it would be fun receiving a retail one and using it for myself, because that's important. You can do as much as you want with the designing, but putting yourself on the side of the customer and trying it out for yourself is a really valuable experience. So I was away for a week, just took one, and I used it. I read through the instructions, did what it told me to do. And I took these 3 photographs. They're all single day exposures, just one day instead of several month exposures of little images around Lanzarote. And you know what? I was addicted. It was so good. I only took 3 exposures with me. I wish I'd taken so many more. And I got back to the workshop and I said to Gemma, we are making this a product. Absolutely making it, because this is so much fun. We could not let this not be fun. So the puck, again, take 2, and it's basically a similar journey to how the original one, because we'd had form. So this was my 4th Kickstarter now, form of how to build a Kickstarter, the things that were needed. The difference here is I had a community and I already had a product that I didn't want to destroy, which is the Solarcan puck. And some way more design has to go into this one. So photograph, first thing, we need a great photograph, and we need great example images, because what we didn't have with the original Solarcan was great example images, but something we could do quite easily. And I did say I was in 2 minds with regards to the video. So this one, I got my friend Chris, who I've worked with before, met him at university, to put together a video. And this one is, let's say, a little different to the very first one. The first one, which was all ad hoc with the tash, me going, you know, whatever. This is like, I remember when I first saw it, and I think I should preface this. When I first saw it, I thought, I think that's a little too much. It was like unveiling iPhone 15 or something. It was, but by the end, I was like, that's actually really good. I think we're going to go with this. The brief I gave Chris was this photo. I want this photo as a video. You know, the cool. I'd actually showed him a pair of headphones that looked like this, and I said, "This is the style that I want as the photograph and the video." And he goes, "Sure, I've got an idea." So, hey, I'm going to show you this. It's just to show you the evolution of how we pushed our products or showed it to the world. Here we go. Is it going to work? Yeah.
From the creators of Solarcan comes the world's simplest camera, a sleek, black, anodized aluminium vessel that would fit into the palm of your hand. Capable of capturing the path of the sun through the day sky, it will redefine the way we take photographs. Introducing the Solarcan Puck. Harnessing the power of the sun and our own ingenuity, the Puck needs only time and light to capture an incredible image. Exceptional yet modest in design, it can be installed anywhere and reused indefinitely. But how does it work? Essentially, the Puck is a camera in its purest form. To get started, find a sunny location, indoors or outside like a fence post or windowsill, and secure your Puck with the attachments included. As the day begins and the sun rises, light will immediately start passing through the pinhole to expose onto the photographic paper inside. Leave for a day, a week, a month or a year, and when you're ready in the evening, after the sun has journeyed below the horizon, take down your Puck and we can begin processing. Away from any bright lights, it can now be opened. Inside, on the circular photographic paper, there will be a negative image. Using a scanner or your phone's camera, take a copy. Then all that's left to do is invert the colours digitally. You've created a masterpiece. Ready to try again? You can reload the Puck with one of the additional exposures and start the whole experiment again. After months of testing, years since conception, and on the 5th anniversary of the Solarcan, the Puck is ready for production. Please.
There you go, I'll stop it there, that's enough. And it did very well on Kickstarter. And we built a product out of it, and we developed new things with it as well, which needed design changes and all sorts of elements. A stand, for example, which Gemma, our employee, designed, and we asked the community what we should do with these circles that got cut out from the laser cutter, and the community suggested we turn them into the legs, which would use less material. Those sort of things people can really get behind. There's Gemma making them there. An additional thing that we're very proud of doing, I'm going to rush here a bit because I've just seen the time, is the photographic circles. We cut them out with laser cutters and use a 10 by 8 inch sheet of photographic paper to cut them out. But because we sold so many, we had to come up with a very, very different way of doing them. And this was tough, really, really tough. I found a type of machine called a digital die cutter, and I found someone who owned a factory that didn't have windows that I was able to bring a red light to. So I'll skip forward and you can see these being made. That's one aspect. In addition, we wanted to make it fun. We had a band that would go around the outside of the Solarcan Puck, and this has been reinvented. So it's one of these, you know, wristbands that you'd usually wear. It's got a groove on the inside, so it attaches to the outside of the Puck. And copying the cable ties that we had before, it says "Science Experiment, Do Not Touch" around them. A manual and very, very fancy packaging for these. has been used, and the product went very well. Shipping was insane. Once again, we spent way more than we wanted to on that sort of thing, but they've all gone out. Jump to one last thing here. Oh, it's been cut off the side. So the slogan we always used to have was extreme time exposure camera capable of capturing the path of the sun over days, weeks, months, or years. Pretty much a big mouthful. I think you'll agree. That's a lot to say, but I always felt, but that's what it is. That's what it got through. But we had the trade fair again this year, the photography show. We had a much bigger stand, and with it, we took our new slogan, because the new slogan can really make a difference. The world's simplest camera, and it really worked. It resonated with people. People understood every single word of that. They knew what camera was. They knew what world's simplest means, and they want to know more about the product. So change it from this big mouthful, which is truthful, to this, which is also truthful, but more of a statement that people can grapple with, was really worth it. And it's something we've flourished with. The world's simplest camera there, as you can see. And we were delighted to share that we won the Best in Show award for the camera. We had Canon to the right of us, Nikon to the left, Sony just over there, and little old Solarcan in a 2-meter booth at the bottom won the Best in Show award, which was really, really delightful. And of course, fantastic images came from the community on that sort of thing. And I'll just finish off now with one thing that I launched yesterday, the Puck OEM. The OEM, original equipment manufacturer, you might be familiar with that term. I used to work in the computer industry. I had a computer business when I was 19, called 19 Computing. Ooh. And someone said to me, hey, the packaging for this Puck is amazing, but I want to buy a second one. And I feel like I don't really want to buy the whole packaging again. It feels a bit too much. And I agreed, very, very much agreed. And it gave us the opportunity to invent a new box, a really budget cut down box. But this is really fun when it comes to design. We made it so it was modular, so the box comes apart. Remember that stand that we had where you could stand it up? This box comes apart and it folds into a stand, so it becomes a stand as well. So we turned the shipping box into a modular part of the product as well. So that's how it goes out. It goes out like this. It includes all the accessories, etc. But you can turn the box into this, which is really fun. And we just launched that, so we'll see how that goes. But it's something that I want to do personally. I'm very pleased with it. In fact, I prefer that to the really fancy one. So that to me, something that's simpler and gets the job done is really fun. And actually stenciling out these letters here was something that the cardboard manufacturer said couldn't really be done. Very, very difficult to do that sort of thing with a cardboard cutting form, but there we are. So if you want to find me, Instagram or Twitter is the best places. The Solarcan, there's my email address, and solarcan.co.uk is our website. Solarcan.com exists, but it's £2,000. So I'm saving up for that. I really, really want it. Sorry for dragging on if I have, but any questions? I hope you are all still there.
No, amazing, Sam. It was a fascinating talk, and obviously the case study of the Solarcan, the development, the journey, and obviously your learnings along the way as well. So yeah, I found it fascinating in terms of the overview of your journey, the process, the prototyping. You know, last week we had a little guest lecture in terms of low fidelity towards kind of a higher fidelity, a minimum viable prototype that you can test with users. And I think you exemplified that brilliantly throughout, obviously those slides and pictures as well. And obviously also the crowdfunding and kind of starting up a business with that particular product was a fascinating talk. As usual, guys, feel free to continue gathering your thoughts, questions, and comment in the chat. I can see a few coming through now. We'll have Q&A, and if you want to go live and kind of interact with Sam as well, feel free to put the requests through on the chat. The first question coming through from Harry Miller Adams is, if there's one piece of advice for someone looking to launch a project on Kickstarter, what would you say and what advice would you give?
Okay. Do you want me to close the screen sharing screen? I might leave it up. But
No, that's fine. That's perfect. Yeah.
One piece of advice, one single piece of advice is oh, there's I've got 20 things rattling around my head, but you've asked for one.
I'm sure Harry wouldn't mind if you kind of
Yeah, elaborate a little.
Exactly.
Right. First it's a tough pill to swallow, and it's an unusual one, but it's just do it and get on with it. Stop looking for reasons not to do it. It's really hard to launch something. I had to plaster an understairs cupboard once, and I just didn't know how to do it. And I said to my dad, I don't know how to do this. And he said, just start. Just start and it will work. And I did. And I've taken that with me all through my life. And you just start something and you can get it done. But more to the point, don't worry so much on prototyping. Your probably lecturers would sort of not prototyping. The word escapes me. Patenting, because patenting takes years and costs a lot of money. But do trademarks. Trademarks is much easier. That is something I failed on, and I wish I had done it in the first place. So if you have a brand or a trademark to do, concentrate on your community. Your community is going to be your biggest strength, and whether you do that through mail shots, social media, talking to people, is different. Find yourself a focus group. Your focus group are your best friends or people who are interested in your products, people that you can share your development with as you go along. They're important. It might just be your dad, your mum, a couple of different friends or something. Focus groups are incredibly important. So you can get feedback off those sort of people. Any one of those would be good, but most people fail on the first one, which is just get started. They have these grand ideas, but bringing it into fruition is tough when you haven't got a deadline. You know, you're setting your own deadlines here. You haven't got a lecturer pestering you, a Friday essay or something. Okay, hope that helped.
No, that was brilliant. And building on the community aspect, I mean, Tony Smith's question kind of relates to that. So would you say that the product that you initially designed, the Solarcan, that was kind of taken in by the community and grew a life of its own? Did you begin designing for the communities once rather than what you had initially planned for and intended for?
No, no, absolutely not. This is a great point. You've got your goal, you've got your target. Don't let other people's suggestions steer you. They might be good suggestions, but you sit on those suggestions for months before you enact them. You have got the place that you want to get to. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? I've got a great idea. Well, you're the one who's lived it and built that product, built the community. Say thank you to the people making those suggestions and ideas, but do not stray off course. The puck for me was straying off course, but it was very well thought out. It took months to get to where I wanted to be. I wanted to create a completely big reusable solar can, much bigger than what the puck was, but the puck turned out to be the better thing, but it took me a long time to get there. So no, the community did not steer me, but they have flourished anyway, and they keep amazing me with all the photographs they send and upload and put on Instagram and Twitter, etc. Things that I wouldn't have thought of. Amazing. In fact, in the manual, which I don't have with me, but you can download the manual from our website. Page 14 and 15, I think, is tips and tricks, and they've all come from the communities, like where people have done really unusual things with their solar can, and that's one way of giving back. In fact, the manual, the center spread of the manual gets updated every 6 months. So we change the manual every 6 months by about 2,000 copies, and they have the best community images that we've seen over the last 6 months, which is a really nice thing to do. It's a gift back to the community. We're on volume 10 now.
Amazing. Amazing. And building on from that as well, obviously you've shared some really interesting kind of snippets in terms of your community, like the amazing places that, you know, they've been mounted and used, and like Antarctica, America for a day and so forth, especially during the eclipse and so forth. But in terms of the sharing that you've received, have any of the insights kind of aided in any of your future thoughts and developments? So like, have they kind of, you know, kind of triggered or inspired you in a way to kind of perhaps pursue a particular lead, or, you know, kind of a particular angle on something?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, good question. Yeah, one thing, there's a type of solargraph, which is, I guess, what these are called, that I've not seen someone do successfully. But yeah, and that's called an analemma, ANALEMMA. And it's where you unblock the pinhole for a minute at a certain time of day. And if you leave it out for a year, it will create an analemma, which is a figure 8 of the sun's path. Mm-hmm. As long as you unblock it for the same minute for every day. And I've seen dozens of people set out to do this, but fail halfway along. So I'm in the very early stages of developing a clock, a timepiece that goes inside the Solarcan or inside the puck that can block up the pinhole for most of the day and then reveal the pinhole for 1 minute of every single day. It's going to be a tough thing to do, but I'm in the very, very early stages of that, and have had to learn a bit about watchmaking and clockmaking to be able to get there. So the cable ties, science experiment, do not touch. I think someone gave us that idea. We put the circles out to the community, saying what should we do with these circles, and someone suggested let's redesign these as the feet, and that helped with a bit of development as well. But the next 2 months between now and the end of Christmas, I need to see what sells better, the Solarcan or the puck, or if it's half and half, or, you know, I need to see what happens, because it's brand new really as a product.
Amazing. And another question coming in from Harry Miller Adams is, how do you go about getting your products manufactured? Obviously, you started off on a smaller scale in a garage or workshop. Once you obviously reached higher numbers, what was your process thereafter?
We've carried on building here. So we're building here in the Scottish borders. The stressful image you saw of me sort of looking a bit tired, that was my former art gallery, which was called the Taxi Office, which I'm scrolling back to see if I can find. Probably can't. But we bought a bigger place now with many more rooms, and we brought the manufacturing to here. There's some parts that we can't do. So stamping the lid of the puck, that happens in China now. Buying more and more from China. I was always very proud, is somewhat, of being all made in country, not having to outsource, but the temptation was just too great. So we've moved over to China for some of the purchasing. However, the manufacturing and what we call the integrating, so manufacturing and integrating are different things, happens in Hoyk, in the Scottish borders, where we put everything together. Some things like the cardboard that gets made in Edinburgh, the puck, the fancy puck boxes get made over in Irvine, and the Solarcan tubes, the retail tubes, get made down in Birmingham, I think. But yeah, the integration all happens here still. We don't get someone else to build our product. Maybe in the future.
Amazing. A question coming in from Advaithan. What kept you motivated through those lows when creating the product?
Oh my God. Well, you know, I started, and a week in, I'd started having the vision of what it looked like, and I really wanted to get it there. And I had my focus group, who I was telling about my journey. And there was like problems that I had to solve. I really had to solve how to get the lid onto the can. It was such a problem. I mean, it's a piece of cake now. just telling you what it is. But there was no answers. The only answer was like a massive machine, gigantic machine. But then, you know, I discovered what I needed to discover with the correct search terms. The labeling was stressful. Ubering up in Edinburgh I just wanted to end there. And I remember halfway through the Kickstarter seeing the money come in. That was like the end of my Ubering experience. So I was able to stop that. I did talk to, I took 999 rides, cabs, fares, or whatever you call them. And almost all of them, I told them about my Kickstarter that I was going to be launching. I wonder if any of them remember. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for the question. I did stay motivated because I wanted to see it through, and I really did feel that it would be a great product. And thankfully, I was proved right by that first Kickstarter.
Amazing. Was that 999 extra orders then? Yeah.
Yeah, I wish. They probably thought, "Oh God."
Amazing.
Yeah, didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy the star rating aspect of it.
Amazing. A question coming in from Omieti. What major problems did you face when shipping the Solarcan for the first time?
Okay, so when I launched it, I launched two different ways you could buy the Solarcan: a single Solarcan or a 5-pack. The 5-pack, I'm the sort of person who makes the decision and solves the problem later down the line. So I didn't know how I was going to be shipping 5-packs. And then it sort of, the crunch came, and I just found the right type of box, the box that would fit them. And it was the wrong box. It was this square thing that was utterly awful. On the right-hand side there, these square things. One, they're over small parcel size, which is, you know, you've doubled your cost in shipping already. Secondly, there's a lot of space, like negative space inside that box, so it's easily crushed, which is really not a great thing. Thirdly, and this took me 2 years to solve, this is really interesting, the ones overseas kept arriving crushed. All right, that's a problem that I've got to deal with. They were arriving like squashed, and I could not figure it out. I had to take a plane flight with some Solarcan to find out what was happening. The solution was incredibly simple. Air pressure. The air pressure is different up you know, a few miles up in the air, especially in the hold, and it crushes because of that, because it's a sealed vessel. And because of that, we've developed the product and slightly changed it, so ones that go out to international countries have the pinhole part open so it can breathe, and it has a little label on it, you know, mentioning why, which is really interesting. So that came up with shipping. Royal Mail are, without a doubt, the best couriers of all of them. Some people might scoff at that idea, but when you're shipping large amounts and large quantities of stuff, if you get the right account manager and sort of learn it, you can get. I can ship small parcels now, like this parcel. I don't know if you can see here. I can ship that to anywhere in the US for like £2.50. You wouldn't find anything like that with DPD or UPS or USPS or any of the others. But it took me years to navigate their systems and figure those sort of things out. But really good question, reminded me of a lot of different things. We have since, you should really, if you ever do like launch a product, the packaging is not like the bit you do at the end. You work on the packaging from day one. You find someone you can partner with, that you can spend your money with, and a well-designed packaging for shipping, etc., is worth its weight, which I've found. You know, and you know, eventually the product becomes the package, as we see here. For me, anyway.
100%. What's called superb insights there into the packaging, obviously from a logistical perspective, but also you know, as it transforms into the stand as well for the puck. So that's it's a brilliant piece of development. Another question coming in from Irene, and I guess this relates back to the community. I mean, you've built a community over those you know, for 6-7 years now. You know, the community will only grow with the sales of the Solarcan and the Solar Puck. And this manual that kind of evolves over a 6-month period. is this a kind of a digital product, or is this a product that's included within the Solarcan, Irene's asking, or is something that you sell alongside it?
No, it's not sold separately, it's sold with it. So every single Solarcan comes with one of these instruction booklets that gets wrapped around the Solarcan when it goes in. It actually works as protection for the parcel. So it gets wrapped around there as additional protection. That's a 16-page booklet, and we change it every 6 months, but we still offer it for free, downloadable, digital download on the website. But I had never planned to do this. This was something that came because I got a designer to make the booklet for me. Really nice to have. People respect it as well, and you get great feedback of it. But the designer, he very cleverly wrote issue 1 on the front page, and I hadn't even considered that. And I thought, okay, let's see what happens. And 6 months later, I found myself doing issue 2. All I had to change was the blurb at the front and the community images, and any minor changes elsewhere that as the product develops. But yeah, that's how that came about. But it was just, that was the designer, really. It wasn't even a suggestion. It just happened as it happened. But with the puck, it does say issue 1 on the first, and in 6 months' time, I'm going to have to change that as well.
Amazing. And I think it follows up quite nicely. Irene's kind of building on that, and she's asked the question: have you ever thought about making a book with all of the pictures from the social media, naming the authors and the locations and so forth? Irene comments that she believes that it would be a beautiful book to have.
Thanks, Irene. Yes. I mean, it's just a straightforward answer. Yes. Why I haven't done it yet? Well, I mean, time is a thing. Is the book going to be about solargraphy? Is it going to have the history of solargraphy? Is it just going to be the history of Solarcan or the solargraphy community, how images were first captured? There's a lot of stuff to think of on top of that. Just a straightforward coffee table book, which just has pictures in, might not be enough. It might not be enough. And I have like this weird idea that I only have so much credit with people. I can't keep pushing products out to people. They've got to be like dead certs. Like, I don't want to just make a new product for the sake of it. It's got to be something that I really, really care about. Yeah, could expand on that perhaps, but good idea. Maybe a calendar or something like that. But I do have to, for example, if I made a calendar for sale, forgetting about all the rights that I'd have to get all the different photographers that created the photographs and choosing the right photographs and making sure it actually sells well, the energy and credit, as in social credit, I guess, that would be expended into getting people to buy this calendar, for example, would be better spent on reminding people that the Solarcan or the puck exists. So I'm very careful about the additional products that I put out without, saturating my own market, because this is a success because no one else in the world does it. So I don't have anyone to compete. I'm not selling a bar of soap, which everyone knows what it is and you know where to buy it. I'm selling a very unique thing that only I sell, and I've seen copycats plenty, but they don't last because they quickly realise how hard it is. 4 months, £5,000.
Amazing. And guys, if you heard about the solargraphy book, you heard it here first. So another question there. You had a picture in terms of 3 colored cans as a kind of a variation on the Solarcan Classic. What was the differences with those 3?
Oh, well, I haven't put this in the slides, but they were different names. The left one was Nebula, then Atlantis, and then El Dorado on the right. And the photographic paper that goes inside, just to remind you, this, that thing on the right-hand side, what the sun exposes onto. 3 different types of photographic paper. So it gave 3 different types of results. One was like more shinier, glossier, more purple was in it, more different colors, etc. And it was as simple as that. It gave different results. I did make another design change, which I haven't gone into, but I moved the pinhole up to the top of that, but we won't discuss that because I think that will muddy what you remember. But it was a really good exercise in building a Kickstarter very quickly and making that, and it was a great success as well. But I did find it's always interesting to look at your sales afterwards, and my 5-pack sales were split. So people who would typically buy a 5-pack of Solarcan, now half of them are buying Solarcan colors. So it didn't increase sales in any way. It just, just made a more diverse product range, but it was a very good exercise to have.
Amazing. And in terms of the product range, another question following up from that was, I guess the Solarcan is a single-use item or single-use product, right? Would it be fair to say that the solar puck is a reusable item? Yeah,
huge difference. They're essentially the same thing. They do the same thing, but one creates a circle, one creates a big, much bigger image. But the way we present it and sell it is differently. The Solarcan Classic, the large one, the can, we say you send that off on a journey for 6 months around the sun. You pop it up on a lamppost or your drain pipe or windowsill or whatever, and you send it on this massive journey. And then when you take it out, you have this big experience where you see it inside. The puck is more for experimentation, having a quick bit of fun, putting it up for a single day or a week or something, taking it down, having a look at what you've got, maybe liking it, not liking it, putting another one in, trying it again. So that's one of the main differences. In addition to that, we've really realized that over all these years that the more inconspicuous the camera is, the better it performs, because people don't touch or fiddle with it. And we found that we put the puck, we can put it on street furniture, like signs, like a street sign or something, and it stays there because it looks like it's meant to be there. No one knows what it is. Like, we don't know what half the things up on a lamppost are. But the Solarcan Classic doesn't look like it's meant to be there, and always gets fiddled with. So yeah, it's more inconspicuous. It's designed to be reusable, infinitely reusable, we say, because it's such a simple camera. And yes, the idea of like single use comes up a lot. People ask it, and well, it's the same as a Diet Coke is single use. You could refill it again if you want, but you're still out buying Diet Cokes. A lot of people have refilled the Solarcan colors and used them many, many times as well. So only single use if you choose it to be. You could always make your own lid, for example. But the real answer to that is the puck.
100%. I guess that kind of extends onto the question whether, like, you sell the paper discs separately as a kind of a extended service, or kind of a refill to that particular product.
Yes, yeah, we do. We do a pack of 9 of the discs for £7, and a pack of 52. The reason 52 weeks in a year for £21, I think. But yes, we do. And people feel they're popular, and I feel they're like inexpensive.
Is there any meaning behind the 9?
Yes, because there was 9 that would fit onto a
sheet.
Onto the sheet that I showed you. I don't know where it is, but there's 9.
Amazing.
Onto a 10x8. So there's a lot of waste. It's really, the waste, the white part of that is the waste. Kept it all. I've got thousands of waste sheets that I'm just looking to give to an artist for them to create something special with, but there's no way I'm throwing that in the bin.
Amazing. And I think, Sam, we've exhausted the questions there. There's no more questions coming through on the chat. So obviously, to conclude, Sam, thanks for taking out your time and joining us tonight. It was a fascinating talk and a great Q&A session as well. To all of the participants, obviously Sam's details in terms of the Solarcan handle and the website were sent to your emails ahead of the talk as well. So obviously feel free to browse, to connect. And to all of the participants, alumni, staff, students, keep an eye on your emails for the details of the speaker and the links to the talk next week. And until next week, stay well, stay safe, and thank you guys.